All right, welcome back. In this module, we're going to be sharing secrets on personal branding. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I see all the time online, and it drives me freaking crazy, okay? And then I'm going to show you how I have built up this virtual studio, and I'm going to also teach you how to use it. So how to show up on camera to really captivate an internet audience and use your voice if you are starting a podcast that does not include video. So we're going to dive into personal branding and exactly what that looks like so that you can show up your best online and really build a strong foundation for your business that starts with you and your personal brand. This is an example of what I see happen all the time. I'm currently sitting in bed and I didn't really dress up at all. I just threw my hair up for this call, and the lighting, it's actually pretty good, but you can see it's got glares all over the place. I just don't think I would be really taken that seriously if this is how I was showing up, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I brought down my tonality. I'm just pretending this would be a training for Instagram or Facebook. If I showed up live like this, doesn't look so hot, right? Or there are other times when I see people very clearly lounging on their couch while they're on a call, while they're on a training, while they're on a live. And you hear my lovely laundry going off, and it just doesn't look like you're working. It doesn't look like you're taking it very serious. There could be people walking behind you. It's just, need I say more? Just, Or we see something like this, where there's background noise, there's a closet behind, there's a messy bed, there's just things happening in the background that are a distraction, that look messy, and they don't represent you or your brand very well. What if I was showing up? Now, granted, there are times where I've been in a pickle and I've got to do a call like this, but I would at least work to shut the door and keep things looking put together, okay? However, it's understanding that it's distracting. And truthfully, it's not necessary, because I'm going to show you how you can actually set up a good type of space, even if you just have a corner that you can use, right? And we've got Steve over here. We've got Kylo on the floor, right? It's a distraction, okay? And I would not be taken as seriously if I was showing up with not only distractions around, but just in an environment that's not suitable for online training. Sometimes I see lighting that is kind of like this, where your face isn't completely, in the light. Sometimes the lighting is too bright. Whoa. Sometimes the lighting is too dark. So it's finding that sweet spot where you're not over or under saturated, and it just works. And I'm going to show you what my lighting setup looks like at home, but just keep this in mind when you're on the calls. You want people to really be able to see you and not be distracted by really weird lighting. Whew. We are back. And I hope that gave you a feel for what not to do. Okay? So really what I want to stress and what I want to point out is, please don't be taking calls and filming from your couch, or with a messy bed behind you, or closet doors open. It's just, if that's what you're working with, at least clean up the space and declutter it so that there's really no distractions behind you, okay? And so realize that that says a lot about your personal brand in the space that you have around you. Okay, so remember that moving forward. So right now, I'm in my studio. So I'm using this microphone right now for you to hear me on. And I've got a virtual background set up here. And I shut the window to show you what this light that I'm using actually does. So this is studio lighting right now. So that's what we're using here in my setup. And then I've got a few other smaller lights, just bringing in pops of color as well. So I'm going to do a full studio walkthrough with you in a moment. However, I want to talk first about showing up on camera. So what I've learned, which sometimes I don't have enough depth right here in order to go back and scoot back as far as I need to, but it's good to show from your belly button up. Okay, so when you're filming, you don't want to be too close to the camera because you get into someone's like personal space. Okay, so you want to be far enough back from your camera to where they don't feel like you're crowding them or too close. And this is for if you were filming a YouTube video or a video audio podcast, you'd want to be scoot back pretty far from the screen. Now, if this was a group training or an enrollment call, I would be much closer, okay? I would be probably closer to right here, where I'm more in your type of personal space, all right? But for the sake of what we're doing right now, I'm gonna scoot it on back, okay? And when you're speaking, use the body language. You'll see me moving my hands and really get your body involved like you were in person, because you really want to captivate the audience and give them something that kind of keeps them entertained, right? So I use my hands a lot in person anyways, so I just kind of relay that through the camera. But it's also maintaining eye contact with the camera, yes, but you can also look around a little bit too to really emphasize what you're saying. It's just maintain eye contact with the camera like it's another person. Okay, so you can look around the room and your main focus is the camera. Okay, so maintain that. And you'll notice right now, I'm sitting up straight. You will never find me leaning back in my chair, especially while I do recordings like this. I'm always sitting up straight. That way my body is involved and I'm not in like just imagine if I was showing up doing this training like this right now, like sure, I can still be a little bit powerful, but there's so much more energy when I'm like leaning in and I'm moving and right? So we want to bring that in to what you're doing. All right. So don't lean back. No slouchy. Be up. Be powerful. And use the tonality in your voice. Like let it fluctuate. Do you hear what I'm doing right now? I'm fluctuating my voice and I'm using it to really captivate the audience and bring them on this journey with me. And if you haven't yet listened to Aligned with Purpose in Life and Leadership podcast, I recommend you go begin to listen for the subtle shifts that I use in my voice and my tonality and my energy to really bring people along on a listening experience. Okay. Imagine if I was just talking like this, and today we're going to learn about truly how to captivate your audience by using cameras and by podcasting so that we can truly learn to teach other no. That would bore you to sleep. So use your voice, smile, laugh, like captivate the audience in a way, because I promise you look as if you're speaking to one person and you think about what one person would be sitting on the other side of that camera and you work to bring them in. That's truly what this is. The difference between what we're doing here and what we would do on a stage is that right here, we're speaking to one person, and it is the heartbeat. It is the soul on the other side of that camera, or listening to your episode in their earbuds. Where on a stage, we would be speaking and needing to captivate many. Okay, so here, we're focused on one. So use your body language, use your tonality, but also set yourself up for success by spending a little bit of effort on your surroundings, because I promise you they speak wonders when it comes to your brand. Don't show up on your couch all sleepy or sit in bed while you take a call. Give yourself permission as a business owner and take this serious. Set up a space for yourself, and it doesn't need to have a background like this if you're not ready or don't feel like you want that or need that. This is my brand. This is what I've chose to use. That doesn't mean that it's right for you. I will go ahead and I'll show you and reveal exactly what my setup looks like for my virtual studio. But just know that so long as you in your mind think, okay, what is everybody else doing? What am I seeing them do right now? And how can I just show that I put in that much more effort, right? Make your bed. Shut the closet doors. Like, put yourself together. Like, don't just show up wearing a hoodie to your calls. Like, put yourself together. Now, unless that's your brand, if your brand is like you rocking the hell out of a hoodie, do it. Okay? But it's also really getting clear on what your brand image is and stands for and showing up as that, right? I'm not here in full hair and makeup like I'm going to go to a nightclub right now. That's not my brand. But mine's light makeup that just kind of accentuates whatever beauty exists there. And I do my hair. I don't go curling it or anything, but I run a brush through it. And, I've got this necklace that I wear every day. I'm not wearing any fancy jewelry. I probably shouldn't have this on my wrist. I will say that. I'll take that off. And I've got a sweater on. So I'm not wanting you to think that you've got to go out and buy an entirely new wardrobe. You don't need to go out and buy all new makeup or hair products. But it's putting in the effort to where it looks like you put in some effort to be here. And it represents you and who you're striving to become. So if you haven't already done so, I would recommend you take some time within the next couple of days and truly look at your wardrobe and ask yourself, think back to that time we basically laid out the avatar for when you play small and when you play big. And think about that person who plays big when you go through your wardrobe and ask yourself, is this clothing that represents that avatar that I've created, that character? Or not? Because if it's not, let it go. Let it go and give your closet space for that new, powerful, big version of you to start to dress in a way that empowers you. And wear that when you show up on camera. Wear that when you show up on enrollment calls. And it's energetically going to shift the way you show up. So put in the extra effort. It's going to go miles. It's going to show that you really value your business and the message that you're bringing to the world. And you've heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it again. Begin with the end in mind. So if your goal is to have one of the top podcasts in the world, and it is to have a suite of videos that your ideal clients can look through where quality matters, then do yourself a favor and just set this space up now, because it's just going to make it so you level up that much quicker, truthfully. So now I'm going to drop in and show you my virtual studio. So this is how it typically looks when I'm filming. But it's all an illusion, my friends. So these are actually 3D art panels, which I ordered off of Amazon. And they literally just stick to the wall with Velcro. This is all that it is. So they stick up here and create my backdrop. Now, I don't know, I believe these were anywhere from $70 to $100 for these panels, okay? So it doesn't need to be something that's expensive, but it just adds so much extra, oomph, right, to the scene. It's not just a blank, kind of boring wall. So we've got the background here, and I knew I wanted to have some neat, interesting lighting, so I brought in 2 of these guys. So these right here can actually turn a few different colors. Let me show you. So I can use whatever color that I want. So I have this one here to work to kind of light up my profile and my side body. And then I've got this same type of light back here to just add some extra element to the background. So I love that one being blue, as that's pretty branded to me. So one cool part about this office that I absolutely love is this boom arm with the microphone. Because when I'm ready to record, this is how it's sitting. I just bring it down to me and we're good to go, right? So it's super easy to use. It's already set up. So all I've got to do is click a button and I'm hooked up to the audio, which is super cool. And then right here, you'll see I have a light. I actually don't use this very often. It only comes out if I'm going to be doing kind of a long day of filming
where I have to be having the same type of lighting all day. But if I'm just filming this afternoon, I would typically just use the window lighting. That's the absolute best that you're gonna get. But what's neat about this light right here, and I will link this in all these things in the description right now, but you can change the lighting to where it can become more warm or it can become more light, right? And I can actually tone it down as well. So sometimes if I know it's about to be kind of dark outside or I know there might be clouds, then I might just have this on kind of low key in the background. That way I can just make sure that the lighting maintains the whole time. But I have a remote so that I can do this when I'm filming. I don't have to get up and mess around with it too much. So that is how that setup looks there. When my camera is not being used by Steve filming this, it's actually on a tripod, which I have angled automatically. This just remains on my desk at all times, where I have this angled so it's set up and ready to roll whenever I'm filming. And the cool part, which I'm looking for it now, I have a dummy battery for the camera. So it's constantly plugged into the wall and I don't have to worry about batteries dying and just like, I mean, you've been there, right? You go film something and your camera's dead. And that happened to me way too many times. So I got a dummy battery. Remains in the camera at all times and stays plugged into the outlet. So I can use it as a webcam and it's ready to go when I am. So I have that for the camera, which is really helpful. And then over here on the side, I feel like it's really helpful to be organized here. So I have my headphones hanging and ready to go. So whenever I am filming, I know that they're here and I know that they're charged. Let's see what other goodies I have on this desk here. We've got a nice, just kind of ergonomic keyboard. I found that I was having a lot of wrist pain, and Steve, being an OT, does Steve OT approve of this keyboard?
I 100% approve.
Yes. So yeah, and then I've just got my Mac here. I always have my charger just plugged in, ready to go. So I don't have to think too much about the setup each day. It's just set up for me at all times. And I've already walked you through my microphone setup, but this is how the studio looks. I just want you to know you don't have to overcomplicate it. You can have a blank wall behind you if you'd like, or order some cool art or 3D panels or something that's just gonna look branded behind you. Throw a couple lights at it and just kind of set the mood with your backdrop. And if you have natural lighting like a window that's in your office, that's perfect. But if you need to add some type of studio lighting, it doesn't need to be expensive. I will link the one that I bought in the description below this video. But truthfully, just remember, when it comes to personal branding and truly setting up your virtual studio, just make it nice. Like, just know that this is what people see of you, and this is how they are gonna start to remember you and remember your brand. And so any time that you can just go the extra mile and just put in a little bit more effort than the rest, you're gonna stand out. And it's gonna really show that you value high quality when it comes to your clients, when it comes to your content, and when it comes to your brand. So keep those things in mind as you build out your virtual studio, and feel free to use whatever I have here. Thanks, guys.